provide lots of services to not only San Angelo, but Abilene is our other facility, and then all the surrounding areas, so the Big Country and the Concho Valley. We have several different departments, those being physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, hearing and balance. We do orthotics and prosthetics. We have an employer services department where we work with local employers on their injured workers. Just some very unique programs that is definitely a need, and in the rural communities they don't necessarily have these services available, so they do have to do some traveling, and we see quite a few patients from those rural areas. It can be, a challenge for patients, especially if they're coming for, let's say, for therapy. Sometimes they're going to be required to come 3 to 4 times a week, and if they live, at any kind of distance, it can be a challenge. We do have a facility in Ozona as well, which is definitely a very rural community, and it was started because of a need for those services in their rural area and not having anything closer. So the community came together, West Texas Rehab came together and saw there was a need, and we have a facility there, and we pull from not only Ozona but all the surrounding smaller communities around there. But we are limited on our services there, so those patients are still having to come to San Angelo or Abilene for additional services that aren't available there. So it's a challenge, and we find transportation is always a challenge. Some of these folks having the financial means to get here. Any kind of resources that we can provide to those traveling in the rural communities is a benefit. We have specialty clinics where we bring physicians in from outside San Angelo, from some of the bigger cities, so that those patients aren't having to travel for that care to the bigger cities. We provide the space. The physicians come here on their own and provide the services on their own, but just being able to have a place where they can come and be is wonderful, because so many of the families otherwise are having to figure out how they're going to get to those appointments in San Antonio or Austin or Dallas. Any kind of resources like that we can bring here that can benefit the families and take some of the burden off of them is wonderful. So we've worked with AHAC in the past. They've brought some students over to shadow not only our facility and get a tour, but also the different opportunities for future healthcare providers. We have 9 different departments under one roof, so we have quite a big variety of options for those, especially the youth thinking they may be interested in going into the medical field. So we just kind of wanted to give them an overall view of what they could maybe go into, the kind of jobs that they could obtain after getting their degree. We're only as good as the resources that we can provide. Our social services department works very closely with our patients to work with them on different resources that are out there in the communities, but there's always a challenge, and there's always certain areas where there's lacking. I think any additional services that AHAC can provide would be wonderful. I think having a more local representative would be great for us to have that direct contact here in West Texas, certainly, and for our patients to be able to provide that resource for them. Absolutely. I mean, we do have some very unique departments here at West Texas Rehab. Of course, we have all the therapies, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy, but we also have audiology. We have an orthotics and prosthetics department, which is very unique. And those are just some things that maybe isn't top of mind for kiddos when they're thinking about their future careers, but after shadowing and seeing some of the cool things that they could do, it sparks their interest. So it's neat to see. West Texas Rehab provides continuing education for the employees that need it for their certifications. So that is one of the benefits of West Texas Rehab, is that we do provide the resources for them to go and get those continuing education hours. It is at our cost. It is at West Texas Rehab's cost. So any kind of resources that we can have closer to home for those continuing education hours is great, because it saves money and time. I think just providing a good working environment and The fact that we do pay for continuing education hours for our employees is a huge incentive for people to come here. We provide them mentors, especially those that are moving from outside of San Angelo here. Have a mentor that follows them and makes sure that they're comfortable and they're getting settled and certainly getting acclimated to San Angelo and the surrounding areas. Providing the best experience that we can to get them here, and certainly when they're here is to our benefit. We work with universities not only in San Angelo at Angelo State, but all around the state of Texas and around the United States. We have our student program where they bring them in and we provide clinical hours and shadowing for them, so it's a wonderful resource for us to be able to provide any kind of training that we can provide our future employees. We want them to be trained with us because we want them to be trained right. A lot of times it's the students that come here and do their rotations. They come here and they fall in love with West Texas Rehab and what we're doing, and they want to stay. We have 2 or 3 from Maine that have just recently finished up their schooling, and they've moved down here because they did their student rotations here and they loved it. So